All right. Who were you in contact with the Follinger people?
Phil? Phil
Strang.
Strang, or however you say
Okay.
his last name.
All right. And how did he help you in the process?
He talked to me a lot over the summer. He'd kind of tell me the odds of which weekends we were going to get and if I preferred one over the other. And then we met a couple weeks before the show. You have to set up a meeting with him, and he goes through the contract and asks you, how many mics do you need? What kind of lighting do you need? Are you using all of the stage? Do you want curtains? Do you need wings? All these lovely questions. And then you sign the contract, and that's that.
And then I didn't really see him again. He
No,
wasn't there, was he?
he was there upstairs for a little bit on Thursday, I think.
Okay.
I don't know.
All right. And I've been told that Lincoln Hall is going to take 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that Three Spot's going to continue doing shows in Follinger, or are you going to look other places?
We might look a couple other places just because we didn't really like how things were run this semester, but chances are we'll probably end up in Follinger again.
After hearing about Phil, I figured I should go and talk to him myself.
My name is Phil Strang, Strang, and for the past 5 years I've been facility manager of Follinger Auditorium and Lincoln Hall Theater. And now that Lincoln Hall is temporarily closed, I also manage Gregg Hall 112, which is the larger theater space at Gregg. Basically what I do is I hire and train and schedule my staff to work events. And then when we're having an event, I meet with the coordinator for the event, decide what kind of staffing and what kind of technology they're going to need. And then I work the event with anywhere from 3 to 12 of my staff who have been hired specifically to work that event. And then afterwards, when everything's done and everything's been put away, I do the billing for all the events as well. So my staff basically runs the sound, the lights, runs the lobby, runs the stage. Basically, they do everything that needs to be done under my supervision. Well, the major problem is we used to have Follinger, and then for middle-sized events, up to 660 people, Lincoln Hall Theater, which was a great space, even though it was falling apart and somewhat decrepit. It was still a good performance space. And then Gregg Hall is about 360. So we had rooms for almost any type of event. But with Lincoln down, all the mid-sized events have to go somewhere, which means they either have to move up to the bigger space, which means we're being full maybe 80% of the time, so now we're full maybe 95% of the time. And then, or move down to the smaller space, Gregg, which was already full 60 to 65% of the time. So basically, when you take 3 halls and squeeze it into 2, you've got 2 places that are full almost all the time, which makes it very difficult for RSOs to even find a space, and certainly to find one on the dates that they want. It sort of forced people to do a lot more events on Thursdays and Sundays, since the Fridays and Saturdays are usually consumed well before the semester ever starts.
Requests.
Well, for 2 years we've been looking for other spaces for people to use, and the good news is the ARC has space available and it's relatively cheap. The bad news is they don't really have a theater space. They've got one space that's sort of like a theater that seats about, I think, 150. It doesn't really have a stage, but it has theater seating. It can be used for like a Shakespeare play or something that doesn't need a lot of set or lighting. They also have rooms that can be adapted that can seat up to 1,000 people. They're just not theater seats. They're just flat on the floor seats, which works for some events, but it's tougher for others. And the real problem is actual stages. There are very few stages anymore, and we had to fight them to keep the stage in at Lincoln when they were originally when they wanted to remodel and get rid of the stage, and we're like, no, we have to have a stage. We can't. I mean, there's too many groups that use it and need it, and it may not be used that much for theater, but it's used for. I mean, all these dance groups and all these a cappella groups that need a stage. They can't just sit and stand around on a flat floor, you know. So I mean, to me that's one of the problems. You know, we've got Smith, which is a nice space, but they're so full of their own music student recitals that there's hardly any dates available there either. Unfortunately, what we need here is another small to middle space plus another space bigger even than Follinger. I mean, we need a 2,000, 2,500 seat auditorium for some of the events that we have. And of course, that's not going to happen in the near future, I don't think. So we got to make the best with what we have.
From my experiences with PDP, and after talking to Annie and Phil, what I've learned is that with no easy short-term solution, the most obvious and maybe even